breakfast buffet, we have Perth Amboy's finest. We have Nels. Learn about his passion for wrestling and rapping and how he looks to combine the two to grow the sport of wrestling. I hope you guys will enjoy it.
Do it! Ray Jazz calls. Major decision, 14-4.
What you looking for? And I've been thinking about you lately, but it's time for me to move along. But it's alright, boo. Girl, I try to. Do you better? Call me when you're feeling down and all alone.
And here we are.
I know shit ain't
my
easy.
boy Nels, Perth Amboy's finest wrestler and rapper, right? And he's doing some really great things. And how you doing today, my bro?
I'm doing really great. I'm home, just chilling in my room, enjoying the nice sunny weather, and pretty much here for the podcast and the people.
Yeah, yep, living your best quarantine life, huh?
Yeah, quarantine is bittersweet though because I kind of want this year was gonna be my first year attending the. Well, I think I was about to squeeze in some NCAA tickets there, but I did have tickets for the Olympic trial, so I was upset I didn't get to go to that because that was really cool. Since we had the Big Ten tournament in our backyard, I got to go to both days, so that alone was, I guess, like the best, I would say, ending type of moment for before quarantine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt like everything was going in the right direction for everyone until this whole quarantine happened. So, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's always some good things we could bring out from here. And I see that before the whole quarantine, you were picking up with your rapping career and everything. I saw you put up some music videos and everything. We were all super pumped about that.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I've been doing music since I was about like a sophomore in high school. I actually started wrestling and music the same year. So I got love for both of them a lot, And there's been times where people was like, "Yo, are you gonna do wrestling or music? Like, pick one." And I would just tell them like, I like both of them. They both give me the same enjoyment and they both help me grow in life. They're both two different personal connections that I really enjoy carrying throughout my, I would say, journey in life.
Definitely, and wrestling and music goes hand to hand. Because what do you use during practice? You use music. What do you do to pump yourself up? You use music.
Lincoln Park, yo, that's Perth Amboy's go-to right there. Lincoln Park, trash cans all around. First day of a Saturday morning practice, you know how it goes.
Yeah, blast it up, get them all pumped up. So, when did you start just getting big in it, and then just start recording it?
Well, one thing's for sure, I've always enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed, like writing essays and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in first grade, I used to love the whole beginning, middle, and end aspect of things. So like, I've always had a huge imagination. So I felt like my imagination really helped me create a lot easier and just go with the flow. So when I was in middle school, I was in a poetic club. I played the trombone in fifth and sixth grade. I was supposed to continue through seventh and eighth and all through high school, but I didn't really. I wasn't really feeling the middle school music teacher, so I was like, I'll just stop it here. But I've always been active, doing a bunch of activities, and wrestling and music just happened to be like the final two that was best for me.
Awesome. So, what goes into just writing lyrics and writing raps? Is there a certain formula you follow? I know everyone has their own way of doing things. What is your way?
I go on YouTube. I type in, whatever beat I try to find, because nowadays, like producers, they like to market themselves obviously too, and the way they do it is, for example, they'll take like a little Uzi inspired type of sound, and then they'll add tight beat in the end of the description, so people that are looking for beats get to find that type of sound from a local standpoint to get a easier way to market their music and find a really dope beat. But me personally, yeah, I just search the beat on YouTube. I usually give the song like about like 10. I usually give the beat about like 10, 15 seconds, and then if I don't feel it within like 10, 15 seconds, I'll probably go back to it. But most of the time that I listen to it for 10 or 15 seconds, I probably feel it and be like, oh, like you know what I mean? Because usually some people say, how do you write to a song? But honestly, it's the beat. The beat gives you the feel, and then everything else just like flows after that. It's like wrestling. It's like once you get that first takedown, you just keep piling up if you feel comfortable. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like the mentality. And I use wrestling in a lot of aspects of my life because it toughened me up in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it's a part of you, and that's very interesting how you use wrestling to write music and music for your wrestling, right? So that's interesting. You find the beat first, and then you kind of get your lyrics out there. You have like your best song now. Like, what went into like your best or like favorite song you wrote?
My favorite song that I've written.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? The favorite song that I've written is not released yet. It's unreleased right now.
Oh, unreleased, unreleased.
Yeah, it's called Sometimes,
Uh-huh.
and the song is about me kind of getting hurt over some female, but then it also translates into like me giving myself a wake up call. So like the song's about like at first you hear the song talking about like how the girl hurt me, but then like towards like the middle, transitioning into the end, you hear me speaking about how I gotta get over that and focus on my real life and appreciate what I really have in front of me. And I it was so much pain behind it. So I feel like when that song comes out, it's gonna really like touch a lot of people. So I'm excited. But it's all
No,
about timing though. So.
yeah, no doubt. No about all about timing. And what's interesting about music and everything, it's telling a story in that short time span, right? Sometimes songs last from like what, a minute to sometimes even 6 or more. So
Yeah.
you find that difficult trying to tell a story within that time frame?
It varies because some songs might be shorter than the others depending on how much you want to talk or how lit your first verse is. Because usually back then people were bigger fans of writing 3 verses like the story shit,
Hmm.
beginning, middle, and end. But nowadays with marketing and the younger generation coming up, everyone has a shorter attention span. So that's why you see a lot of artists put out music that's like 2 minutes long because it has better replay value like that.
Hmm.
You don't want to be in a party listening to a song for 4 minutes. You usually like to keep the playlist going so
Keep it
people aren't
going.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yep.
what it really be like.
Yep. And different vibes too, right? You got the party vibe, you got the chill vibe.
Yeah, you gotta be versatile because it's crazy because you always have to come out with new ideas. There's gonna be a point where you kind of run out. There's a point where like you have more ideas than the next day than the day before. It's just all about feel. You know what I mean? There was a point where I wanted to quit, and I was like, damn, like I'm not really doing what I'm supposed to do. These lyrics aren't coming out. So going back to what you said about quarantine, how I've been creating more during quarantine, I think quarantine gave me more free time to think. So during quarantine, I told myself, listen, it's like they say, what you have can easily be taken away from you any day of the week or day, or, hours, whatever. So I said, you know what? We're in quarantine. This is the perfect time for me to create freely and come up with with the best possible ideas I have. And I've been doing music a long time. I'm 27 years old. Like, even though I love doing it, I want to like make a life changing experience out of it. I feel like I'm talented enough to really like touch people. So I'm pretty much putting all my time into it right now. I'm investing into it, but also realistic about life as well because you can't just rely on music. You always need a plan B in the back of your hand because not everything's guaranteed. We know that in wrestling. We
Oh
done
yeah.
seen the best of the best get knocked out first round NCAs, Olympic trials, everything. So I try to apply a lot of that wrestling stuff into like my beliefs and my talents with just whatever I like to believe in and chase.
Yeah, and especially with the whole quarantine, it really sets, your mind in places that's really important and what you really care about, right? So that's great that this whole quarantine you spent, doing what you love, writing music and really reflecting on your own life. And you being from Perth Amboy, you guys really had a strong, team bond and culture with that. The was it PWO, right? Yeah,
Oh, nah,
yeah, yeah. AWA, yeah,
yeah,
AWO. Yep, yep.
and boy wrestling only. Yeah, that's definitely something we definitely live by. Coach Giordano was definitely a father figure for a lot of us, so we like to keep his Amboy wrestling legacy going. He's retired now, so it's beautiful that we get to see like new up and coming kids wear the same stuff. It's like it passes down for forever.
Yeah, Coach G, he was the man. I remember every time we went and wrestled you guys, or even saw you at the counties or everything, everyone went up to Coach G. Everyone gave him that high five. Everyone wanted to know, what he was doing. And how was he like a coach? What was some values he instilled on all you guys?
I feel like he instilled a lot of heart and attitude. I feel like he always wanted to push everyone towards their best potential. You know what I mean? Some people were able to apply themselves to his tough love, and some people weren't. But only the people that were able to apply to that understood why he fought so hard for us. Like I remember one time I was wrestling one of my old teammates. You probably know him, Humberto Argueta. He was a 138 pounder, 32 pounder, and then he went up 38 his senior year, class of 13. I remember me and him was wrestling in practice one day, and you know how sometimes we kind of stop, not like intentionally, but we just stop. And I stopped, and Coach Giordano was like, "Why did you stop?" He just yelled so loud, and I felt like I was on the spot, and I was like, "Damn, bro, like." But then when you think about it going forward, you realize why he says, "Why did you stop?" Because in wrestling, you really can't stop if you really want to win those 6 minutes, you know?
Yep, always looking to score points and getting better. And what's great about you and just, a lot of the wrestlers at Perth Amboy, you guys really love the sport. You guys are really into it. And even to this day, even though, high school and college careers are over, you guys are still getting on the mats and giving back. How do you give back today in your community with wrestling and everything else?
Well, we do have the the head middle. Hold on a second. The middle school head wrestling coach. Gabe Broman.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a really really good feeder program for our kids, and they do a lot of private lessons. We have about 3 days out of the week for rec at the middle school, so the kids get to have a lot of time on the mat on and off season. So yeah, it's a great feeder program, and the kids are just really elevating really fast. I feel like back then there was technique, but wrestling is one of those sports where the technique just gets more advanced each year. So it's like you see kids hitting Splatos at like 6 years old. You're just like,
Yeah.
there's no limit to no moves. But going to you though, I know South Plainfield had a really strong culture. The first time I seen you guys really wrestle was my senior year of high school. It was 2011, and you remember this because you was there. It was the dual meet quad against Jackson, us, and some other team. I forgot what team it was, but it was the year that Jackson was ranked first in the state, and y'all knocked them off that year.
Yeah, and it was the mentality we had. We didn't have the best technique. We had the basics down really well, and we had that attitude. We had that attitude, and that's what I try to teach my kids today: the attitude and just the basic techniques. Like you said, their technique gets advanced every year, but it's pretty hard to beat the basics. Is that something that you help with coaching now?
Well, for one part, I don't really try to be a coach, but I try to just be around the community and just help out. I never really necessarily look for like a title for a coach or ask for any type of like, you know what I'm saying? But I just know what I started wrestling late. I started like junior year, and I wasn't really eligible at the time because I was going through a couple things. So I got my grades up, and then I had a senior year of wrestling. I had a full season, but I was really inexperienced, so I didn't really get to make the impact I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
So afterwards, I said, do I want to still do this sport or not? So then I just started, going to tournaments throughout the summer, like the Midnight Madness at Long Branch, the beach tournaments in Pure Village, all around the shore, those tournaments. And once I won my first medal at like the Falcon Free for All in Monroe, I believed in myself and said, hey, like this sport is this is it. Like I want to keep doing this or whatever. And I was supposed to do like the whole college thing, but a lot of things got all mixed up. But I was always promised on the sport. I never wanted to leave the sport. I never wanted to leave the kids, and I always wanted to be that guy that was always sticking around for the community for their best interest at heart.
Definitely. So I could see yourself being more of a mentor to these kids, which is extremely important because you need someone that was in their shoes and just give them proper guidance. Especially in Perth Amboy. You guys. I feel like your team was the ones that kind of started it all. Started that culture, started that tradition, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we're one of the few that beat you guys. Which is something that's really hard to do because you guys have like pretty much a bonus scoring guy in like every weight.
Yeah, I don't think was it when I was in school. I don't think it was when I was in school though. I don't know.
No. This had to be 07, 08 around Gabe Roman's year.
Yeah.
I think Mike Wagner was on that team.
Yeah, it was Wags' era, I think. I forgot. It was one of McCann's uh, you know, one of his down years, I would say. I don't know. I don't know the story about it, right? You guys got us though, huh?
Yeah, yeah. At least we got y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beauty of the sport, though. Nothing's guaranteed, and that's why I love it, and not anyone could just do it. That's why, like, if I ever lose, cause when I used to lose, I used to take it really to heart. But then I realized, listen, like, this is a sport where you're gonna lose no matter how good you get. So once I kind of like let that flow in, I took the losses more as a lesson instead of just a downer. You know what I mean? Because I remember Anthony Perotti said this in like an interview. He had said that when you're, with this sport, you can't be too low or you can't be too high on yourself. You have to like kind of like swag it out through the middle and just, follow up on like your best interest in the sport and just continue to get better. Because sometimes kids like to focus on all like the popular moves or like the craziest technical moves. I used to think like that. I used to think that the most technical moves were the best way to win. But then, like, as you get older and you see college and you see the world and the Olympics and everything, you see guys that's winning with like three moves. You know what I mean? Three basic moves that just takes them, far. And that definitely takes your stress off of wrestling. You can't be focused on just being the most technical wrestler. You just got to focus on being the best wrestler.
Yeah, and wrestling teaches you a lot about life too. You got to be on your game and being willing to learn every time. We call that the white belt mentality, just willing to learn from anyone. I feel like I have the same mentality now, just willing to learn from everyone and anyone's experience, whether it be wrestling, life, business, everything. Hopefully from you with music and your life lessons, just getting a piece from everyone, and I feel like that's super important.
Oh yeah, I definitely like to soak everything up. Some people give me crap for like, I guess being like a internet like, I know I post funny things here and there, but it's all just like fun and games and just positivity. I
Yep.
know when it comes to music, you have to really market yourself no matter what you do. You just have to make sure that it's not too hardcore. You just got to make sure it's like a realistic marketing way. You can't just be out here just jumping around the street waving the donut flag or something like, "Hey, I'm on Instagram." You know what I mean? Like, you have to really be smart about how you market yourself because that's first impression around the world. And one thing I look forward to is using wrestling as a platform because we want to grow the sport a lot more, but it's really hard to grow our sport. It's because one week we grow the sport doing this, and then one week we're getting backlash from this. So it's like up and down. You know what I mean? So I want to use music as a platform to kind of promote wrestling in a way. Like one day I'm gonna include like wrestling in my music video or a vlog or something to just spread the sport because I feel like our sport is too great to not be that well known. It's well known, but not to the degree that we want it at. So I'm one of those people that want to make wrestling as big as it possibly can be. It's one of those sports that changes your whole life. Like I feel like when I'm working at a job now, I don't. I feel like I always tell everybody there's nothing harder than wrestling. So any job that I get into is not gonna be harder than cutting weight, starving myself, spinning drills, up and down drills, like the whole thing. I just love that sport. It changed my life forever, and that's why I can never leave it.
Yeah, definitely. When you're dealing with something hard during life, you just refer to those hard times on the mat. You're like, man, it's not as hard as this.
Yeah, man, and it's funny because when I first signed up, I'm like, I'm strong, I'm gonna walk through this thing. Like I'm strong, so I'll be okay. And then once I started getting my butt whooped a little bit, I was like, wow, like this sport is really for real. Like I need way more than strength. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I remember you being 103, bro. I remember you used to post the pictures like the before and after pictures, and you was all skinny and stuff. And then you hit 145. I was like, oh wow, bro, my boy does not want to cut weight no more. And I remember telling everybody, your senior year in the county finals, you wrestled Carbontita. And I was telling everybody, I was like, yo, listen to me right now. This is gonna be the best final of the counties. And they were like, I was like, all right, because I already knew how driven you were your senior year. You had a really good senior year. And I even seen you wrestle at the states that year. I was at the states tournament that year, and I seen you wrestle. And yeah, that was a really crazy county final. I know it was close. I don't know if it was overtime or something. It had to be like 4-3 something. But that match was really cool because I knew both of y'all had like slick styles. So I knew that the match was gonna be really good. And I remember you winning that county title, and I was like, wow, like Ray Jazz is really, he's on his way. He's really trying to make a mark right here.
Yeah, I was tough on top. I won it on top. I rode him out to win it 4-3, and that was great. I felt the energy in the building.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
oh yeah. You felt the energy in the building because I remember there was this meme that said, I think it pretty much says that the counties is like a dual meet with South Plainfield and everyone else, and it has like a Simpson cartoon on it. I remember that picture. It's
Yeah.
mad funny because it really does feel like that. It really feels like South Plainfield is up against everybody because you guys have done a really good job at keeping the team together and winning together at the county level and state level.
Yeah, yeah, and we all that was the big emphasis we had. We did everything for the team, and I think I was the only county champ that year too for South Plainfield. So that was just a cherry on top of everything. Um, so speaking about you're an essential worker now, right? You took on a job that you thought you couldn't do, huh?
Well, I'm actually an assistant. My coworker is my driver.
Uh huh.
Because during the pandemic, jobs got all crazy, so I had to find something for the summer. You know what I mean? Because I just can't be home doing nothing. It's really boring. I've always been like a hyperactive kid. I always like to play sports, try new things, and just see what I can get out of life in every aspect I could. I've always wanted to just learn and just be around fun things and just be around good people.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you talked about, we talked about this before, but you had a fear of what? Driving trucks, and now you're whipping it a little bit during this
Oh
whole
no no
quarantine.
no no no! I'm helping my driver.
Oh, you're helping them. Okay.
Yes, yes, but the whole like idea is to be around it and get my feet wet. So then when I feel comfortable, I can drive the trucks and get the CDL and try something else.
Yeah, 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 and that's super super important. Trying new stuff, especially now, finding ways to live life and making this thing work. And wrestling was probably a huge part, right? If you didn't have that, you probably wouldn't have been like, ah, man, I ain't taking no risks, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you right now, wrestling has really made me comfortable in my uncomfort zone. I would say. Like
Uh-huh.
things that I wouldn't feel comfortable with doing, I probably do it because of like the fearless mentality that wrestling takes. You know what I'm saying? I feel like wrestling is just the hardest sport out there, and some people may not believe it, but only wrestlers will understand why.
Yeah.
Henry Cejudo said it. He said I could win all these gold titles, but there's no sport harder than wrestling, and that's why he's able to be an Olympic gold medalist in the two division champ while defending the belts, and that's why he retired. Because you don't you have family, you have kids, and it's a really brutal sport. You never know. You can get knocked out. You might not come back up. It's the hurt business. So I feel like he did a really good job at retiring at the right time. So I guess he can enjoy everything else that's planned for him. Whether it's partnerships with an energy drink or a clothing brand, you always want to expand. Just like Anthony Ashnot, he has a really good thing going on with the Mobbin brand and everything else going, but he earned the stripes though, he really put Jersey on his back and he could have committed to any school he wanted to in the country really. And he chose to stay in his backyard 15 minutes from home to start a culture. And a lot of people didn't believe in Rutgers at the time, but now it's like a very big thing. I feel like Rutgers has a really well-known name around the country. They know that we're Jersey. They know we're dangerous. I mean, I think we had about 5 or 6 Jersey champs the year Ashnot and Soriano won it. But the
Yeah.
best kids in Jersey never stay home, so that's the only reason why you don't get to see the best of the best perform in our backyard. But Rutgers has really done well. I've been around since the College Avenue days, back when Ashnot wrestled. I think it was Jamal Hudson from Hofstra. He was like down by like a few points, I think, and he just lit up the scoreboard, bro. It went from like he just lit up like 10 points. He cradled the dude. It was crazy. That was the year Ohio State was there too, and we lost to them by like I think it was like 24-17. And I think that was the point where Rutgers understood, like, listen, like, we just lost by like 5-6 points to Ohio State. That means we can just keep going higher. And then Parati knocked the door down, All American. Ashnell came in, redshirted, then he got All American. And then the All Americans started piling up. Scott Del Vecchio, Ken Theobald. There was a lot of talent that was in the round of 16 too. So it's just always been a good culture. If Jersey kids stay home, they will really see the gold eye of the wrestling world in Rutgers, you know. But we're climbing though. I like that it's natural. It's really organic. I like how we don't really have too many recruits out of state. We're getting more recruits now, but I like how 95% of the time the team is Jersey because it feels much more natural when we win those big matches like Nebraska or when we beat yeah, man, the list just goes on and on. I think so many matches like it's all like
Yeah.
a blur right now. But how was your experience transitioning from South Plainfield High to NYU? Because I know All American was a pretty big deal for you.
Yeah, I mean, going from that, just a small town in New Jersey to the biggest city in the world, there was a lot of differences, and especially wrestling on a team that guys from all over, from California, from Florida. It was definitely a different culture, but just my mentality to just get better at wrestling just made me mold into the wrestler I wanted to be. And I felt like, a lot of my teammates fed off that, no matter the different styles or anything, nothing could replace hard work and work ethic. So once they fed off that, I felt like, the team was coming together culturally and just becoming that hardworking team. You can't have any individuals in any aspect of life, right? Because life, you need a team, right? You can't, just like wrestling, you can't get yourself better. You need a teammate, right? You can't wrestle yourself in the mirror thinking that you're going to get better. And I feel that goes for anything. That's why I like to take lessons and stories from everyone and learn from them. And yeah, going into New York City, definitely a different atmosphere. But then again, it was a big outlet to learn more things and grow myself as an individual and as a person and learn different aspects of not only wrestling but business, life, and stuff that I would have never learned if I stayed in a small town.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm guessing did you kind of feel out of your comfort zone going to NYU? Did you feel like you was kind of had to be prepared for like a whole variety of different things?
Yes, for sure. Definitely got out of my comfort zone because living in New York City, you're exposed to so many different people, so many different people and careers and just anything. Like at NYU, there was no set campus. The city was your campus, so you literally saw everything, right? And
Wow.
New York City was basically the center of the world, so you're really struck in the middle of everything that's happening in the middle of the world. You have protests there. You have people on the streets. Living on the streets. You try to help them out, and you're really exposed to legit anything that you possibly could think. So that was another kind of wake up call for, hey, there's more in this world, and I'm seeing it just like in New York City's not even that far from us either. So, just being in the city just exposes you to different life events and everything. And I was truly grateful for those 4 years. And with that being said, being in New York City, you also have a ton of distractions. So I made sure that South Plainfield mentality kept me focused on what I needed to do to, be successful in wrestling and in life. So, and that all comes back from wrestling, right? If I didn't have that if I didn't have that strong work ethic and just focused on what I needed to do, maybe I would have got distracted. And I know a lot of my teammates did. And there's a lot of guys that were really good in high school that just folded in college because they let the city get the best of them. And, they went out, made wrong choices and, got tired of the sport and they let distractions get to them. But when you're focused on something and you really want to get something done, you kind of don't let those distractions get the best of you.
Yeah, seriously, it's really people don't understand how how much mental stress it takes to like block everything out and have that tunnel vision and focus on your path, because sometimes you have family stress, you have stress from school, you have stress from work, because stress doesn't just come in just one shot. It just comes like in bunches, like one day you're just chilling and one day you feel like the weight is on your shoulders, but it's up to you to adapt to that and carry it through your strength and continue to strive for the best person you can possibly be. So I wanted to ask you, how was your NCAA's run? Like, how did that go for you?
Oh,
Like
it
all the
was
being All American.
Yeah, so I mean, going into it, I got there a day early with my coach because there was a snowstorm, and it was kind of like, it was fun because it was the coach that brought me into NYU, recruited me. It was the head coach, Bruce Habley. We had such a great relationship, and it was kind of like the end of a story. It was just me and him chilling, and then waiting for our teammates to get there, and he told me right there, like, you get a little anxious and nervous because this is like the last round, right? It's your last time. And he said, no matter what you do in this tournament, I believe that you could be a national champ, and whatever happens this weekend, it doesn't affect your legacy at all. And that kind of settled me. And did I want to win it? Yes, I trained hard to win it. Unfortunately, I didn't. I took seventh, so seventh in the country is not bad. But at the end of the day, one of my coaches said, if you could look at yourself in the mirror and say you did everything possible that you could to achieve your goal, then you're set. That's it. Have no regrets. So, when I did lose to a couple kids that I feel like I could have beaten, but that's it. You look past it, and I'm very happy about my career and my wrestling career, and I still have that chip on my shoulder though. So that's why with pro wrestling, it's still, I have that chip on that shoulder, and I'm still striving to be the best pro wrestler I could be. And living with that chip on the shoulder is extremely important because you always want more from yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just that whole underdog mentality, you know. Like I was watching this I think it's called Malco Sports where Astronaut has his interviews with Goodell and everyone else. I was watching the one with Parati today, and he was pretty much saying like how he thought he was like the worst kid on the bracket, and then he ended up, just I remember Delafont saying he knocked off three ranked guys his first year when he was an All American. He's over here pinning guys in 10 seconds, setting records. He had a crazy run, and I was watching that this morning, and I had to message him, and I told him like, hey man, like I didn't know all this extra info on your All American run. Like it's inspiring. Like it's dope that you had a run like that. Because I remember before we had an All American in Parati, I was like, damn man, like Rutgers needs that one All American to knock the door down so people could just, because for a while people were just talking and talking and talking, and then when he knocked the door down, we get into the Big Ten, and then the Big Ten had like probably like I would say like maybe like a rough start, but a realistic start because you're not just gonna go into the Big Ten first year and just gonna dominate. It's one of those, it's the toughest conference in the country. And then the culture in Rutgers just grew, man. Like it feels like a really big family atmosphere when I'm there. I feel like when I'm there, I'm in my living room just watching wrestling with just 8,000 people, you know.
What a
And
bunch of Jersey guys, man. That's what it's about. That Jersey wrestling culture.
oh yeah, man, Jersey is really tight knit. I feel like I can go to Atlantic City right now and see a wrestling coach or something. Like, you know what I mean?
So some of them never left. Some
Yeah.
left
Some
Atlantic City.
yes, man. Atlantic City is always a good time. We get to. It's a long 3 days, but it's good. It's like a 3 day vacation for just Jersey wrestling. So it always feels like really close at heart and just really beneficial with our spirits and just overall will to just live on and be good people. You always meet so many good people in Atlantic City, and you always see so much. You see dreams get crushed or you see dreams get accomplished. So like it's a really like intense tournament to watch because kids train their whole lives to not only win a state title, but these kids are training to also transition into college and win NCAA titles and Worlds and Olympics. But
Yeah. Yeah, it
some
seems like Atlantic City is a big celebration for wrestling, and that's kind of what it's like with these Rutgers matches now. Just a celebration of Jersey wrestling. So with that being said, your adversity moment, Nels. What is some adversity you dealt with in your life that is a part of you and a part of your story now?
oh man, I'm gonna go through the mud with this one. I do remember living in a hotel with my mother at some point when she was pregnant with my little sister, and we would have to walk um, across this bridge in South Amboy to go to the supermarket and get food. Times were rough at the time, but my mom was always a strong person. So like as the years went by, she just kept working harder, and then she eventually got enough money to move my three siblings from Dominican Republic to Perth Amboy, and then she also moved my aunt and her children over here. So she was always a big family oriented person. So I think that's what I get it from. I'm always really affectionate with my family. I always want to make sure I don't miss birthdays, family events. I just always make sure that her tough experiences and my tough experiences always made me strive to be a better person. That's why it never bothers me to help nobody because I know what it's like when you don't have help. So as long as I have it, I will always be able to help somebody, even if it's taking the clothes off my back. Life is short, and a lot of us take it for granted until we lose somebody or until something is taken away that we're not used to being taken away. And people just gotta apply that mentality. Like wrestling, man. We didn't know that NCAA was gonna be canceled this year, but it sucked, man. Like it was just I felt like it was gonna be a really good NCAA tournament. It gets crazier and bigger every year. But as far as more adversity, I would probably say just I feel like just growing up in Amboy is really tough. Where it's not as fortunate as other towns, so like we really have to put up an extra fight more than other people, which that relates to the wrestling part of it. I feel like that's what brings the pain into the pain and motivation into Amboy wrestling. I feel like we go through a lot of stuff outside the scene, off the mat. So when we go to the mat, we're able to just let loose and just express our pain through the wrestling and just strive to be the best athletes we can be day in and day out. And some kids might quit, some kids might not, but at the end of the day, I'm always grateful to see kids at least try the sport because not every kid is gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna try wrestling," but it's one of those sports that you're either in or you out. You either like it the day you do it, or you don't. But some kids grow into it and adjust to it like within like 2, 3, or a couple months down the road. But yeah, man, a lot of adversity, but adversity is beautiful. Like I said, there's a lot of beauty in the struggle. You just have to make the beauty out of your own situation and just keep chasing your goals and stuff. And by the way, referring to the very, very beginning, I'm not Perth Amboy's finest, but Perth Amboy will be the finest in years come. We have a lot of kids coming up with the theater program and the Roman Legion brand, which Gabriel Roman holds up. And I think South Plains are gonna have a couple more losses when the kids come up. But it's gonna be a lovely battle. We're two really good competitive towns, and I've always respected the South Plainfield culture. It was always very tight knit. I felt like you guys were always disciplined, whether y'all was at Virginia Beach Duels or that was wrestling a team like Bergen Catholic or DePaul. Y'all wrestled some of the best competition. And one thing I've realized is like someone could be like the strongest guy, bro, and I just don't see the South Plainfield kid fold. Like the technique was just always there. Y'all practice the basics a lot. Yeah, because from what I've heard, you guys like to drill more and get down the basics more than just all around, just have a jungle zoo and just wrestle all the time. But the basics is where it's at. That's what really separates simple from just overall being, a crazy talented, skillful kid that just doesn't know what to do with the basics. Because you might know all the moves in the world, but if you don't got the basics down packed, you're not gonna know how to win those small matches with the small detail.
Yeah, definitely. And you talking about wrestling being an outlet, for just an outlet for community and just coming together. And like you said, the pain and the struggle. Wrestling is a great place for that. And that's what I helped a lot in New York City with Beat the Streets. Giving these kids, just introducing them to wrestling, giving them an outlet for something to do after school, and having them create a team bond and just creating new friends and everything that they could have friends and they could have a common goal, and that's super important. And with that being said, who is Nels and what do you want to be known for?
Honestly, I just want to be known as someone that's a big dreamer and a person of the people. I try to spread as much love as I can. I like to engage in positivity. I like to I like receiving love, but I like giving it more. I like to see happy faces. I like to be around good people, and overall, I just want people to just want the best out of themselves in life, you know they're whether they're working in a deli or Walmart or anything else. Everyone has a story, but it's about what you make out of your story. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they say, life is not a race. You always have to travel at your own pace, and you always have to believe in yourself, no matter what the naysayers say. Because there's a lot of doubt nowadays in the world, and not everyone's gonna believe in you. But as long as you have that belief, you're always gonna come out on top. And I'm very proud that you became All American, because that was, like when I feel like every time a Jersey kid becomes like an All American or wins something big, it's like, well, at least from the county, you know what I mean? I feel like whenever I see someone from the county like win big, I feel like it's like a medal to our county. You know what I mean? but it's very amazing to see Jersey wrestlers succeed at the NCAA level. You know what I mean? Because we're arguably the best state, but we're gonna argue that for the next 50
Oh
years.
yeah,
You know?
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, and you talking about marketing yourself and everything, me and my boys, we still have that group chat. Me, Hunt, Scott, Tori, Troy, Anthony. So we're always seeing your stuff. We're always talking about it. So you're marketing yourself pretty well, and we're proud of what you're doing, and we're definitely supporting you, my man. So um
Yo, thank you.
so what's next for you, with rap? And I know the whole quarantine. So what's next for you, and where can people find you? Hear your music and just follow you on your Instagram and everything. Where could people find you?
So I'm gonna just keep it simple and go with Jersey Nels. Jersey is spelled regular Jersey because when I had my old Instagram, it had the Z instead of the S. So
Uh-huh.
it's Jersey Nels. Jersey Nelz. And from there, you can click the link in my bio. I just released my first single May 9th, and it's doing pretty good. It's hitting Cali really well. I put like a nice retro Cali type vibe on the cover art of the song, and it's crazy, man. I was really nervous about putting my first song on Apple Music because I was thinking about the quality or how's the world gonna react to it. And I hit about like 100 subscribers in like less than a month or just about a month. So I feel like it's a step in the right direction. And I have another single coming out too, the one we was talking about earlier. So my plan was to at least drop a single every month for the rest of the year, and then drop a album for my birthday in 2021 for January 16th. So right now, and I am in a music group though too. We're called DC, but it stands for the Connection because I guess we're really family oriented. So like we just went by like the Connection. So I got my boy GQ, I got my boy Luggage, and I got my boy G5. So it's four of us as an independent label, and we invest all our well-earned coins into what we do, and that's why the videos come out to how they come out. And overall marketing and promo is really a big thing. Like paying for promotion did more for me than anything else for my music career so far. So I'm just pretty much on some like, you know what? There's nothing else to lose. Invest every dollar into my dream, or I won't see my dream fold in front of me. So right now, I guess, because once you get to a certain age in your 20s, you're like, wow, like, am I really gonna keep doing this for fun? Like, as much as I want to do it for fun, I want to make a living out of it, and I believe that I can. Because my father was I think he sold 20,000 records for a Puerto Rican artist, so he went like gold and silver. So that was already instilled for me from birth, but he left around like 3 years old. But I'm just grateful that he at least gave me like I guess the bloodstream flowing when it comes to music because it came out really natural for me, and hopefully one day I can include you, Ashna, or someone in a music video, a vlog, something that puts wrestling and a music video in one, but making sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. I want to grow the sport and really like put us on the map the way Ashna carried Jersey on the map with wrestling is kind of like what I'm trying to do with music, but mixed together.
Yeah.
So I feel like we deserve that notoriety, and I feel like it's gonna get there. I just need the support and I need the consistency. So with those two alone, I'll get there in no time. But I'm gonna definitely take my time with it because when you kind of expect things to come too soon, you kind of like you're like your own like disappointment. You're like your own downfall. I had did this remix called Yikes. It was off a Nicki Minaj beat, and I paid for some good promo behind it. And then it just went crazy on Instagram, and like Shaq O'Neal hit me up from the NBA. Zab Judah, a professional boxer that fought Floyd Mayweather back in the day, had a full conversation with me. So when I saw those two cosigns, man, I was like, wow, like people are really recognizing me right now. So like after that, like I told myself, if I stopped for one day, I lost. So my mentality is just don't miss a day. Don't miss a day. Just keep going, and eventually the results will come, as everything else comes gradually if you keep putting your effort into it. But I got one question for you though. How was the crew when Astronaut won nationals in Suriano? How was that going? I know you have like the
Oh,
picture. Y'all all picking up Astronaut. Y'all all like,
yeah.
like
How was the crew when that happened? So it was great because, like you said, when you feel like, when someone All Americans in your county and everything, you have that special moment. But when he did that, just the fact that so many people from our town was there and everything, when he did it, man, it was just great. It was just a great moment. It felt like we all did it, and when we picked him up on the shoulders, it was like it was like when we were in kindergarten again, wrestling for the first time, having fun. It was a great end to the story, not an end to the story, but it was just a great moment that was just unbelievable. And we were so glad we made that trip to Pittsburgh and and it's a moment I won't forget.
Yo, for sure, man. I remember I was in I think I was at home. It's funny because I was literally at home watching this. But then I was like, you know what? I gotta go to New Brunswick so I can feel the full like
All the
you get what
vibe.
I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
I went to Oldie Queens and Rutgers and uh but this was after the tournament had happened. I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, National Australia just won a national title. Like, I gotta go celebrate with something.
Yeah, gotta go to Queens, right?
Yeah, so I went to Oldie Queens. And it was just jumping, man. It was just crazy. And then from there, I went home and I soaked it all in. And the next day, I was like, wow, man, like I'm proud of my state. Like I'm happy to be like a wrestler from this state because we walk around with so much pride and so much grit. So I was excited when that happened because for a long time everyone was saying Rutgers wouldn't get national champs, All Americans, and things like that. But it's like every other school. There's schools that didn't have a national champ since like 1962, but placed All Americans every year, right? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's just one of those sports where you got to take your time. But I'm happy that y'all got to enjoy that moment though, because I'm pretty sure y'all was probably reminiscing from y'all was kids, and then all the way till now. Probably shed a few tears. I don't know what y'all did, but I'm pretty sure it was a fun time for y'all, because y'all came from a very small town and made that town known in a different level.
Yeah, definitely. And great moment. And I'm glad, us Jersey wrestlers, we all enjoyed that moment together. And like I said, we're super proud of you and what you're doing. And, your hustle and your story is very, very great to hear. And just the way you're investing in yourself. And like you said, keep those wheels moving. I'm sure you'll get where you want to go, especially because you were a wrestler and that's always in you. So you got that wrestler grind. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate our talk here, and I'm definitely gonna get a lot from this. So thanks, my bro. Thank you for your time.
Hey, yo, bro, I definitely appreciate this. This is my first podcast, and I was pretty excited when you hit me up because I've always wanted to do a podcast. And this is a really I really enjoy your podcast. I usually look at who's next, who's coming up. It's always a good podcast to have. I know you do like you do wrestling mindset too, right? Or you've done it a few times.
Yeah, I work for them. I do all their marketing and media, so big
Oh yeah,
into it.
that's dope, man. That's dope. I just for real quick though, I don't want to leave no one left out. I want to shout out one of my wrestling coaches, Jared Terrell. He's an assistant coach at the Bergen Catholic. He's the one I actually work with the truck driving stuff. Uh, Mike Giordano once again. Coach De Jesus. He's a coach that I was working with a lot. The list goes on and on. We have a lot of culture in our town, same way you guys have it. And I'm glad that you got me on here, and we got to exchange a few nice words and really get in tune with the world. And yeah, man, I pray for the best with you and all your upcoming success, and I'm gonna support you all the way, same way you do over here.
Definitely, man. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you're doing, man. Stay safe.
Know what you really want. I know you dealt with other shit, but baby, tell me what you looking for. And I've been thinking about you lately, but it's time for me to move along. But it's alright, boo. Girl, I try to do you better. Call me when you're feeling down and all alone. I know shit ain't easy, but pick up the phone. Baby, this is